Oh, welcome back to this bullshit that won't let me go for Amane first. I'm still salty, and this... Hello, and welcome back to Amane's Beast. I'm back with my heart at wings. I'm still salty that I can't do Amane first. People have told me several different, apparently, like, set-in-stone route orders. So at this point, I'm just not gonna believe any of them and just do my own thing. And based on what I've heard about Ariha route, by God, I would absolutely despise that. Like, the best way to describe what I've heard from people is Kanna's route from Primal Hearts, but worse. Which I did not enjoy Kanna's route at all. They instantly made her a worse character in my eyes, personally. Because she basically because it felt like she still wanted the relationship, but without the commitment to it. And if that's apparently what's going on in Dakiel's route, then I will not like it. Like, people have made like, but the retranslation is gonna make it better. It brings the point across better, that you can't see the forest for the tree. I don't care. Like, it can make a good point if it wants to, sure. But if the point makes her a bitch, well, what the fuck are you supposed to do about it? I say that a bit harshly. Of course, I'm not. Of course, she people have very much said that she doesn't like straight up become like a bitch or anything or something. It's just very grating and frustrating. And like something like that could be fine if it isn't dragged out until the end, like it was for Kanna and how it apparently is for Ageha. Like the closest thing that I could reference, like the closest reference for that where it kind of worked. It's not quite the same, but Hikari from A Sky Full of Stars. They handled it well there. And hell, in the end, I like Hikari more for it. Like, I don't think I would probably like her as much as I do if that struggle didn't happen. But it did, and I adore Hikari now, to the point where she's like my second most favorite character in the game. Favorite character being Miharu. Which, by the way, I somehow managed to miss Miharu's VA in this. Which I'm immediately fucking embarrassed about. Anyways. Club activities had finished and we are on the way home. Oh, by the way. Gonna mention it now. There won't be a stream on Saturday. If there is something... maybe a recording? Depends on how long my plans take on that day. Because I'll be having like my first session of like I talked about the D&D session that I was joining recently, where my character is a Tabaxi warlock. That's basically a lot of yeah, I know. That's like I guess you should call it a contract. Basically, whose patron is the Lord of the Hunt. For those who don't know, my name, the Wild Hunt, is an actual like literary like trope that can that's most usually manifest in a ghostly horde of warriors and hunters that ride through the night on their spectral hunts. And basically it's like a folklore motif that's supposed to explain the howling winds of the night. And the Lord of the Hunt is always the leader of the Wild Hunt. In some cases, it's even Odin. which is fun, in my opinion. But it's basically found like an archer archetype warlock. And that looked so fucking interesting. Especially like the level 20 ability. Not level 20, I think it was. Let me just check what it was. Hold on. Where do I have it? There we go. The Huntsman's Reign. At level 14, you can summon the Wild Hunt to aid you on a massive volley attack. When you cast Eldritch Blast through your Huntsman's bow, instead of the normal number of blasts, you may fire one blast at every target you can see within the range of your bow. You can make a separate attack roll for each target. Once you use this ability, you must take a short or long rest before you can do so again. And that sounds so sick. And also there's the... Hold on. Additionally, there's also like added invocations for it that are just really good, cool. Anyways, so activities had finished and we were on the way home. Maybe I should actually finish explaining. Basically, like, I have the first solo session on Saturday. Basically, the DM decided to have like a solo session with every party member first. That's basically happening. I'm actually looking forward to playing. Like, I like the setup for my character, since he's basically like from a caravan of Tabaxi, known for their archery skills, and every few years a new lead, like every few generations, when the last leader approaches an age where he shouldn't be leading anymore, a new leader is decided by sending out the newest generation that's old enough to lead out from the caravan, and basically hold a contest where those who come back with the greatest tales and stories of their exploits are then made the leader, since Tabaxi, in their endless curiosity, value nothing more than a good story. And he basically has like a little... Basically like the two aces, like the two top dogs in that contest right now, is he and a friend of his. And they're basically like competing to become the boss of the new leader of the caravan. And I'm really looking forward to playing that. Especially just because of the like story things that the DM could potentially weave in there. Anyways. Aya was fanning her chest with her sweaty uniform, and it happened to catch my eyes.
Nani? Nani miten no?
She sensed my gaze and asked cheerfully, "Why don't you try acting a little more feminine?"
しょうがないじゃん。胸が一番汗かくんだもん。これって女らしいってことじゃない？
And she started fanning herself again, without a care in the world, as if she wanted to show me.
ガレージのエアコン弱くない？お尻が蒸れちゃうんだけど。
This time Kotori was wriggling her backside around. It's spacious and the ceiling offers no heat insulation. It was like a prefabricated building. There was no attic and the heat from the sun transferred directly to the inside. Even if you turned on the air conditioning, its effectiveness was halved.
ロボット部よりかはマシよ。あっちは人数多いからムシムシするのよね。汗で。
Kotori made a disgusted face when she heard Ageha's description.
さてと、私こっちだから。
When we approached the usual crossroads, Ageha turned into a different street than us.
じゃあね。
Hey Ageha! Wanna get some ice cream from the convenience store?
いいけど、なんで急に？
You two were saying how hot it is, so I suddenly felt like eating some. Wanna eat one too, Kotori?
いいけど。
Kotori answered while watching Ageha. And let's go! We started walking ahead. In the convenience store parking lot, we bit into the ice cream that we had bought. Hanging out in front of the convenience store was one of the privileges of being a high school student. Ageha got watermelon-flavored ice cream on a stick, Kotori got a chocolate chip in a cup, and I chose vanilla ice cream wafers.
ハバネさんはカップ派か。棒のアイスは途中で溶けてきて、手がベトベトするから好きじゃないの。
Seems like everyone had their own preferences when it came to ice cream.
ねえ、葵。シミュレーターどうだった？
I still didn't get the hang of it. It was pretty tricky.
どこがどう難しいの？
How should I call it? Inconvenient handling? When I want to do something, I can't do it right away. It would probably be easier to handle if I could feel its movements and speed.
エルロンもラダーもエレベーターも風を受けなきゃ効果ないもんね。
Exactly. Just control the position of the aircraft by transmitting the force of the wind to the fuselage. Naturally, when the strong, small movements of the controls can have a big effect and vice versa. However, the glider doesn't have an engine. It can't easily speed up or slow down. If you do one thing, it affects everything else. I guess that's what makes it difficult. Understanding the present situation is not enough. I have to think about what will happen next and act accordingly. It means that this vehicle requires quite a bit of experience after all.
乗ってて気持ちよかった？
Well, to be honest, the simulator didn't feel that good at all. You're watching the screen, right?
なんていうか、すごいもどかしい感じだった。3D のシューティングゲームに比べると圧倒的に爽快感がなかったわね。
Yeah, that's true.
実際に飛ぶのとはやっぱり違うのかな？
I think so. I can imagine that somehow. How it would feel to really soar through the sky in it. Only vaguely, though.
いいなぁ。私も飛んでみたい。シミュレータならやってみればいいんじゃない？
Well, it's possible to control everything with your hands.
いい。今は葵くんがやるべき時だから。
Looks like she decided to be patient for now. Ageha and I exchanged glances spontaneously.
じゃあ、早いとこ翼を作って実際に飛べるようにしないとね。
Yeah. As soon as I'll be able to fly myself, I could give Kotori a ride. Might be a little hasty, but having an objective will make me try harder.
チェー、外れか。残念。
I got tossed a stick of her finished ice cream into the trash can. Finished eating too, so I also got rid of the wrapper from my ice cream sandwich. Kotori was still eating. She was already shoveling her chocolate chip ice cream. It wasn't as bad as Amane, but her way of eating also slightly spoiled her pretty girl image. She rushed over in her wheelchair and threw the cup into the trash can. Did you think if she didn't hurry, we would have left her behind? While I was away from Kotori, Ageha had come up beside
気を
me.
使ってくれてありがとう。
What do you mean?
とぼけちゃって。私とハバネさんのために誘ってくれたんでしょ？
I wonder, did I really? Looking at me as I feigned ignorance, Ageha smiled cheerfully.
お待たせ。
You didn't need to rush like
それ
that.
じゃあ帰りますか。また明日ね。
Yeah, say it.
さようなら。
So I got off as she waved goodbye, pushed Kotori's wheelchair along the road back to the dormitory. Except the little wings were flying the sky highly.
なにこれ。
After school, we went to the garage and saw a huge pile of cardboard boxes and tin cans.
いやあ、君たち。
What is all this?
ああ、ついに届いたのね。
From an answer, Agao came a little before after us, saw all this stuff and her eyes lit up.
主翼を製作するための資材だ。外にまだあるから運ぶのを手伝ってくれないか？
We brought the materials inside with a great deal of effort. Agao compared them with the order
オッ
summary.
ケー、全部来てまーす。よし。これでようやく翼が作れる。
Agao was extremely enthusiastic.
この大きなのは何？でっかい割にやたら軽いけど。発泡スチロールだ。型を作るのに使う。型翼の長さは約8メートル。その型を取るんだからかなりの量必要になるのよ。
That means we'll also need large amounts of other materials.
それが完成すれば飛べるようになるのよね。じゃあ早く作りましょう。
Kotori also was in high spirits, but it's not like she knew how to make them. How do we build them? How do we do it here?
FRP で作るから多分特殊な機材はほとんどいらないと思う。広さ的にも問題ないんじゃないかな。ですよね、天音先輩。ああ、前もここで作ったしな。
But what is that? FRP. I was familiar with that term.
強化プラスチックのことだ。主翼を作るための素材になる。
Strengthened plastic. Still don't quite get what he was talking about. The broken wings were propped against the wall. They were smooth and hard. I thought they were made from aluminium or
プ
something.
ラスチックなんかで割れちゃったりしないの？
Kotori asked as she looked at the broken paw.
それは大丈夫。ちゃんと作ればね。おかしいな。ちゃんと作ったのにな。
Amina stood beside Kotori and also gazed at the broken pot, lost in thought.
FRP ってすっごい頑丈なの。プラスチックにガラス繊維を混ぜて強度を上げたものなんだけど、考え方は鉄筋コンクリートと同じかな。
It feels concrete.
ほら、あれってコンクリートの中に鉄筋を通すじゃない？コンクリートは硬いけど、引っ張られたり曲げられたりする力に弱いの。鉄筋を通すことでその弱点を補ってるわけ。 FRP も同じで、硬いけど弾性率が低いプラスチックにガラス繊維を混ぜることで強化するの。
I see. I set this for now. I'm not quite sure if I understood it or not, though. We'll probably learn the details in class sooner or later. It's kind of a school. It's this kind of school after all.
どうして徹夜アルミじゃなく、その FRP っていうのを使うの？
Wait.
いくつか利点があるんだけど、多分グライダー製作には最も適した素材なんじゃないかな。そうだな。現在グライダーの素材としては FRP がメジャーだ。強度はもちろんのこと、プラスチックなので金属で作るよりも軽量化できる。加工が簡単でコストも安め。後から補修もできるし腐食もしない。
Amina was nodding, agreeing with each point.
ちなみに FRP は意外と身近なものにも使われてるのよ。
Huh? could those be?
車のバンパーや漁船の船体などがそうだな。公園のスワンボートとか、あとあれ、ケンタの店先に立ってるカーネルおじさん。
When you mentioned the colonel, Kotori and I nodded in agreement. I've touched that statue many times, and I was messing around with my friends from the cycling club, and taking silly pictures next to it. Let's see, that's FRP, huh?
カーネルおじさんと同じ素材で、グライダーもできてるのか。
Ah, yes! The meat glider. I wasn't sure whether a murmur expressed delight over the glider feeling more familiar or sadness over her dream being shattered a bit. How exactly do we make them?
そうね。簡単に説明すると、まず型を作るでしょ？翼の。それに FRP の素材を塗っていくんだけど、まずはこっちの。
Like I opened one of the just delivered boxes and pulled out some sort of cloth-like material.
このガラスマットを敷くのね。これがさっき言ったガラス繊維。その上から樹脂を塗り、またガラスマットを敷いて、また塗ってって繰り返すの。あとはそれが固まるのを待って取り外して。
And it's complete.
まだよ。表面をピカピカに磨いて、塗装すれば完成。簡単そうね。今説明したのはあくまでかいつまんでだからね。実際はもっと手順が多い。これだけ大きなものを作るとなると、普通のやり方じゃ通用しない場面も出てくる。まあ、一個ずつ進めていきましょう。先輩、設計図見せてもらっていいですか
While I was looking at the plans, she started discussing something with Amane.
なるほど。ここは分割して、後から接合するしかなさそうですね。しかし、そうすると重量の問題が出てくる。あまり重くすると。
The conversation moved on to things that we didn't understand.
先輩、主翼作りなんですけど、私に任せてもらえませんか？構わないぞ。私がやるよりいいだろうからな。ありがとうございます。ハバネさん。
Kotori was surprised when she heard her name suddenly called out. I think inside time she got used to it a little.
何かしら。ハバネさんも手伝ってね。もちろん、そのつもりよ。
I'll help too.
葵はいいや。手が足りない時だけで、シミュレータの方を優先して。
Kotori gave an easy glance. I'll leave it to you then.
おお、任された。
That Agaya became the supervisor and construction of the main wing had begun.
じゃあ教えた通りやってみよっか。まず発泡スチロールで型を作る。けどポリエステル樹脂が発泡スチロールを溶かすから先に上からコーティング。
Well, just now Kotori had been taking Agaya's improvised FRP course. She's very diligent, so she noted down everything. She was now reviewing it as they proceeded with the work. For now, it was still just practice. They were trying to make some not related to the main wings.
先にガラスマットを敷いて、その上からポリエステル樹脂をローラーでコロコロと。ああ、ダメ。もっとしっかり塗り込まないと。いや、やってるわよ。隅っこの方はハケを使って。樹脂をつけすぎないで。わかってるわよ。うるさいな。気泡が残ってると空洞ができて、そこだけ強度が弱くなっちゃう。そしたら、また折れちゃうんだから。
Amane was standing beside me and teaching me about piloting made a slightly hurt expression. Are you alright, senpai?
平気だ。
She answered, still with that hurt look. Seems that she had a complex about her lack of dexterity. You're practicing flying on the simulator?
旋回中、ラダーの操舵量が少なかったり、タイミングが遅いと、打ち滑りを起こす。逆に、ラダーを使いすぎたり、タイミングが早いと、外滑りする。
Slip and skid terms are used when the glider is moving diagonally. They occur when the nose isn't properly aligned while you're
打
turning.
ち滑りも外滑りも、相対風に対してグライダーの向きがずれるから、揚力の低下が発生してしまう。
Even if we assume for example's sake, that there's no wind at all, the glider itself is moving through the air with a certain speed which causes the air to move around the wings. This is called relative wind. So if the glider is moving diagonally, it's like it is receiving a diagonal wind. The glider is most efficient when it catches the wind from the front. The reduction in lift that Amane mentioned occurs because it doesn't get the wind directly from the front in this
旋
situation.
回中はそうでなくても揚力が低下するから、打ち滑りや外滑りをすると、かなりの高度をロスすることに。失礼します。
The Vice President's Kumoyakri entered the garage.
やあ、副会長。
こんにちは、望月先輩。それから、
Hello. Our eyes met, so I quickly bowed my
こん
head.
にちは、水瀬くん。
Akari looked around the garage and nodded with satisfaction.
ちゃんと活動なさっているようですね。
ああ、まるで部活のようだろ。
She said this proudly. These actually are club activities, though.
ところで、何か用かい？
少し様子を見に来たんです。あの時は、状況が状況だったので。
As you can see, we are doing very well.
ええ、見ればわかるわ。
She had a bit of a sharp tongue, but only when she was talking to me for some reason. Vice President Kumue Akari gave me a firm, scrutinizing
確
look.
かにお人よしそうな顔してるわね。悪人ではなさそうだけど。油断ならないわ。
Is something wrong?
いえ、何でも。
Does she have a problem with me? Akari went over to the other two working at the back of the
少
garage.
し見せてもらって。
あかりさん、どうぞどうぞ。こんなもんでどうかしら。うん、いいんじゃないかな。
これは FRP ね。何を作っているの？
お皿よ。
お皿？
練習してるんです。グライダーの翼を作るんですけど、いきなり本番じゃ失敗した時困るんで。あとは、これが固まるのを待つのよね。そしたら、磨いて、色を塗って。
Kotari was muttering while checking her
ハバネ
notes.
さん、使い終わったローラーやハケはすぐ洗い流した方がいいわ。樹脂が固まってしまうと使えなくなってしまうから。
Kotari hurriedly went to wash them. That was a close call. She almost ruined some of the club equipment that we had just bought.
それから硬化剤を混ぜた樹脂は温度が高いほど固まりやすいから、容器はなるべく日陰か涼しい場所に置くといいわ。
Kotari unrefinedly wiped her wet hands on her skirt and made a note of Akari's advice.
主翼作りは長丁場になるから、そういうことも考えておかないといけないんだね。
Akari was also thinking about it with a serious expression. After confirming that the other two were doing proper club activities, Akari came back here looking relieved.
うまくいっているようですね。
ああ、
I'm gonna answer proudly. She looked happy to be praised
と
like
ころ
that.
で、実はもう一つ要件があるんです。
ん？
副部長を決めていただけないでしょうか。
As president. The other two working at the opposite side of the garage stopped and turned their attention this way.
ええ。望月先輩はとても有能な方ですが、 お一人では手が回らない場合もあるでしょう。そんな時、どなたかいていただいた方が、こちらとしても助かります。非常に。
Apart from Amane, everyone's expressions showed understanding. It probably wasn't just Akari. Previous student council members also must have had troubles dealing with Amane. She was a very unique person. Sometimes she has ideas that differ from general social norms. The issue with the club's status revokement the other day and the fact she kept repeating the year are prime examples of this. Vice President suggested that having a so-called manager would have helped a lot with negotiations and such. However, what she really has in mind is a mediator, right? In the few days we had spent together, I could already tell that Amane probably wasn't fit for this role. Senpai will decide the very existence of the club, plan the activities and such. Bringing them together to carry everything out will be the vice president's duty.
わかった。決めておくよ。
助かります。
After she nodded with relief, Akari stole a glance at me again.
やはり、この水瀬葵が選ばれてしまうのかしら。かなこさんの話では人望はあるようだし、行動力にも富んでいる。ルックスも悪くは。って、何を考えているの私は。
Say, what was this just now?
え
While you were sort of glancing at me, so...
見てないわ。自意識過剰よ、水瀬くん。私は、ソアリング部の活動状況を見ていただけです。
See? Sorry. Didn't just steal a few glances there. She was staring at me pretty hard.
では、私はこれで。
Akari finished her business and hurriedly left. But stumbled over a cardboard box on the way.
何よ、この段ボール。
This time she left for good. The fuck happened?
何あれ。さあ、葵に気があるんじゃない？え？おお。
What are you saying all of a sudden?
だから副会長は葵くんのことをずっと見てたのか。やっぱり見てたんだ。これはあるね。
No, that wasn't the case. Come on, get back to work. I drove them away with a vague answer and they returned to their work.
あいつ、ちょっと赤くなってない？だね。あかりさん、綺麗だもん。
I can hear you. Senpai, what are you going to do about the issue brought up about the club vice president role?
どうしようかな。誰かやりたい人はいるかい？
The two other girls exchanged glances and turned their looks at me.
うん。
Me?
なんとなく。
This is something you you can decide just sort of. Think it over more carefully, senpai.
うん。わかった。
Like this, I concluded the topic I had brought up myself. With that out of the way, everyone keep your whispering to a minimum and concentrate on your work.
もう、くぶちをずらしてる。あれは意外にやる気満々だね。葵くんでいいと思うんだけどな。
Everyone got back to work while mumbling to themselves.
もう帰らなきゃいけないのか。もっと残って作業できればいいのに。そしたら早く完成して早く飛べるのにな。
Kotori muttered a complaint to herself. We were supposed to leave school by 6:30 p.m. That was a rule that she had to submit a notice of club activities extension in order to stay longer. However, I had my dorm mother work to do, and Kotori was also helping with dinner preparations. We had to leave at the normal time anyway.
明日は今日試しに作ったお皿の仕上げをしつつ、 主翼の型作りに入ろう。
いよいよ本番ってわけね。
焦ってまた折れちゃったら困るから、慎重に作業を進めましょう。
At noon, things were still pretty awkward between them. But it seems that after half a day had passed, they've opened up to each other.
ところで葵、あかりさんのことどう思ってるの？
Huh?
そうだった。部活終わったら問い詰めなきゃって思ってたのよ。
My breath feels oddly hot again. Like hotter than normal. What's this all about? It's probably the alcohol. There's nothing to question me about.
いいから聞かせなさいよ。
そうだそうだ。
These two. Let's dash back home, everyone! Let's dash back home. Everyone at the dorm is waiting on empty stomachs. I started running, pushing Kotori's wheelchair.
待ちなさい。
なんでごまかすか。
Apparently, those two getting along too well will also be a problem. Except the little wings which lie in the sky highly. Yes. As we began building the... Jesus Christ, those are loud. As we began building the main wings, the soaring club garage suddenly became very lively. Everyone carrying out their tasks was finding an outlet for their increased motivation. This also influenced things outside the garage. For example, at lunchtime one day...
ねえ、このガラスマットとガラスクロスってどう違うの？
大きさかな？他になんか違いあったっけ？
クロスの方が薄いけど繊維が長いから引っ張り強度が強くなるんじゃなかったかしら。
そっかそっか。
マットの方が曲面になじませやすいからややこしい形のものを作るときはこっちなんじゃないの？じゃあ主翼を作るときはガラスクロスの方が適しているのね。大きいし平らだし強くしないといけないから。
そういうこと。
It's been like this recently. Kotori and Agaya were having lunches together. Kotori was always reading an FRP manual, and if there was something she didn't understand, she was asking Agaya. In her spare time, Agaya was also studying thick mechanical books about glider construction she took from the garage bookshelf. She wouldn't read while eating lunch, though. Spending more time with Agaya made Kotori much less detached from the class as a side effect. Looks like she gets more and more chances to talk with classmates. Just like right now, when other girls were answering her questions.
おい、みなせ。女子ばっか見てんなよ。
But I wasn't. Met a few friends from class as well, and started having lunch with them sometimes. I wonder what they're talking about. When it comes to building the main wings, I was just helping a little, so it didn't really have much to do with me. Still, I was simply curious. Or rather, I'd like to chat with them about the gliders too.
しかし、お前すごいよな。転校してきていきなり、あのハバネさんと仲良くなっちゃってさ。望月先輩ともお近づきになったんだろ？
Just by chance. Kotori had a rather stormy relation with the girls. However, the boys considered her distant and hard to approach. Her legs, beautiful appearance, but above all, that don't talk to me aura must have been responsible for this.
たまたまね。
If I didn't become the dorm mother, I also might have been referring to her as that Habade by now. I was able to fit in the class so quickly only thanks to Agaya.
言っとくがな、俺たちはそれも羨ましいんだよ。なんだよ、幼馴染って。
Well, even if you say that. It is a digression, but it seems that Agaya was rather popular with the boys. Thanks to that, some of them are a little jealous of me. If the situation was reversed, I think I'd have been similarly envious.
ああ、俺もソアリング部に入ろっかな。
That's too bad, we're already full.
嘘つけ。なんだよ、独り占めかよ、チキショー。
In one corner of the classroom, Agaya and company were enthusiastically talking about gliders, and we were getting excited with a typical high school boys conversation. Speaking of which, when I was at the all-boys school, these kinds of topics felt a lot more lonely. Glad I decided to transfer here. That was an average day for me now. After school, we were all heading to the garage and engrossing ourselves in the work we had to do. Algia is also the robotics club, so she goes there on some days. She shows up at the soaring club afterwards. Then she checks what Kotori did that day, and that's no good, or well done. She criticized her work like that. And at last, the other day...
そっとよ。そーっと剥がしてね。
Gulp.
おう。よし、取れた。見て見て、ほら。
Kotori, having peeled the FRP plate from the model, happily showed it off. Alright!
やったね。
We all spontaneously struck a victory pose. The smooth, curved surface was sparkling beautifully under the dim light inside the garage. This 200 by 40 centimeter board was one of the pieces that would become the main wing. The main wings were 8 meters long. As making them from one piece would be very risky. They were made from smaller fragments that would be connected later.
見てほら、すごい滑らか。ほんとだ。私のとはえらい違いだな。
Won't the connection point become weaker?
問題ないわ。接合部は厚く積層するし、むしろ強度は強くなるはずよ。これを磨いて色を塗るのね。全部できて接合したらね。完成はまだまだ先か。
The first piece was experimental proof that the manufacturing process works. Now we'll be making a lot of similar boards. So smooth already, does it really need to be polished?
表面に理系剤が付着してるから、それをきれいに剥がしてやらないと、塗装のノリが悪くなるのよ。
While I was explaining, she checked the surface of the board thoroughly.
上出来。当たり前よ。何せこの私があんなに頑張ったんだもん。本当に綺麗にできてるな。いいな。
As we stood before the first result of our efforts and chatted amongst ourselves, we were all quite excited. Although our pace was slow, the construction was proceeding well. Sunday. Our end of terms test will begin tomorrow, so all the club activities have been stopped for the time being. If we secretly worked on the glider and got busted, we'd have been in trouble. We had to stick to the rules. That's why we were meeting at the garage on Sunday. This, like, I suppose this is a lamp post or something? This lamp post, or whatever it fucking is, looks like a weapon. The cicadas were annoyingly noisy. As to be expected, it was midsummer already. Once the end of terms exams are over, our long-awaited summer vacation will begin.
おーい、葵くん。
Aminet. On my way to school, I heard Aminet calling out from behind.
珍しいな。一人かい？
I had some work at the dorm, the others couldn't wait, so they went ahead. Aga came to the dormitory early this morning. Then she and Kotori left together. Those two have been getting along well recently. I guess they finally opened up to each other.
そういえば、二人でいる時も会話が弾んでいるみたいだ。
About what? They are probably discussing glider-related things.
主に君が話題の中心だな。
Really? I wonder what they're gossiping about. Guess it must be some good-for-nothing chit-chat.
知りたいか？
Nah. Just knowing that those two are getting along is enough. Besides...
どうかしたかい？
Nothing, I just thought that it's the first time I've seen you wearing something different than a school uniform.
ああ、これか。昨日久しぶりに家に帰ったからな。父の仕事の手伝いをしてきた。
You were helping your father. What kind of job does he do?
発明家だ。
An inventor? For a moment I imagined a middle-aged man wearing thick glasses and a white coat. He raised a strange voice while pouring chemicals into a test tube. A huge explosion followed. That would have been the case in Edison's era anyway. Now it has become a proper profession. Wait a second. She said she has been home for the first time in ages, so does that mean she usually lives alone? I couldn't help but wonder. But there might be some family issues, so it was difficult to
小
ask.
鳥たちじゃないが、最近私も楽しい。
What do you mean?
部活だよ。みんなすごい。アゲハには作る才能があるな。起点が利くし、知識も豊富だ。小鳥は根気があるし、熱心だ。誰よりも飛びたいって思っている。葵くんは、あの子らをうまくまとめてくれている。シミュレータでは、もう私より上手に飛べるしな。
If they heard you talking about them like that, I'm sure they'd have been overjoyed.
そうだろうか。
Yeah, I guarantee it. The reason why everyone could do their best without hesitation was because such an amazing person as Mochizuki Yamane was here. Senpai brushed up her long hair. A nostalgic smile appeared on her face as if she was reminiscing about
君
something.
たちが来てから、いつも賑やかだ。イスカがいた頃に戻ったみたいだ。
Again, Iska, the person who wrote the flight log. So what person was she? Why did Anmane always talk about her in the past tense? I think...
早くテストフライトがしたいな。
Amane said that anxiously while gazing up at the huge columns of clouds silently soaring through the distant sky. Hi!
ジース。
ういっす。
Huh, you're alone, Kotori? When I entered the garage with Amane, Kotori was sitting alone, looking bored in front of the air conditioner.
姫木さんなら、ロボット部の子に呼ばれて出てったわよ。
To the robotics club. Mason Naga has been coming to the soaring club more often than to the robotics club. Could that be the reason why they summoned her?
呼びに来た子が、深刻そうな顔してたわ。
Said Kotori sluggishly. She looked like she didn't even want to think about it. Just then, Naga returned.
ただいまー。
Naga, you got caught by the robotics club?
ああ、うん。
Something wrong?
ちょっと困ったことになってね。本当は喜ぶべきことなんだけど。でも、先輩たちの気持ち考えると、そうもいかないか。
What happened?
しばらくの間、ロボット部に専念しなきゃならなくなった。
それ、どういうこと？
先輩、少しの間、お休みさせていただくことってできますか？それはいいが。
You said a little while, but how long is that?
早ければ夏休み入ってすぐだけど、遅いとお盆くらいまでかな。
That's about halfway through our summer
ロボッ
holidays.
トコンクールの予選だな。
Naga nodded.
私ら下級生チームは補欠だから出場する予定はなかったんですけど、先輩チームのロボットに問題があったらしくて、今からじゃ間に合わないから急遽繰り上げってことになっちゃったんです。
Robotics Club was really popular. It had many members and they were divided into several teams, each trying to build a robot that will meet the requirements of this year's contest. According to Naga, while underclassmen were helping the seniors with their work, they also practiced making their own robots. However, that was only practice. Helping the seniors was the priority. It seems that usually they didn't have enough time to finish their own robots, but this year Naga got really fired up and said they'll somehow manage to build an operational one. When the problem occurred with the Senpai's team robot, they were no longer able to enter the contest. It was decided Naga's team would participate instead.
じゃあ、主翼作りはどうなるのよ。
直接作業してる時間はないかな。ロボット部終わってから顔出すから、作業はハバネさんにお願いできないかな。
無理よ。私一人じゃ。
I'll have to. The main wings aren't completed. Piloting practice will be meaningless.
お願い。ほんとごめんね。それじゃあ私、またすぐ行かなきゃだから。
Naga made her apologies and left the garage. The garage interior became deathly silent.
何よあの子。勝手なことばっか言って。
It can't be helped. She was a member of the robotics club from the start.
でも、せっかくいい感じだったのに。
Senpai, while Naga is away, I'll be helping Kotori. 先輩?
うん。それでいいと思う。そうしよう。
Hamina sat absent-mindedly. Then she returned to her usual position, sitting in front of the drawing board. Afterwards, she didn't say a word anymore. The first day of the first term exams to find weather we'd had for the last few days changed to an unbelievably heavy rain. This would be my first exams as I'd come to the school. I hadn't had studying, so I felt quite confident. However, our specialist subjects were rather troublesome because I didn't even know what kind of questions I should expect.
はい、終了。シャーペン OK。
The answer sheets were collected. That's the end of today's exam.
寄り道せず、まっすぐ帰れよ。明日も試験はあるんだからな。
That's what the teacher said, but I had brought my lunchbox.
アゲハ、どうだった？
まあ、
私ダメだった。明日の英語にすべてを託すわ。
私はその英語がダメだから。
Pathetic. While Aga was chatting with our classmates as usual, she put her bag on her shoulder and left the classroom with them. Aga followed her out the hallway and called out. Going home already?
ちょっと用事あるんだ。葵は？
I'm gonna swing by the garage.
さあ。
Okay, you know.
アゲハ、何してんの？
ごめん、先行ってて。何、葵。
Nah, nothing. See ya.
おお、明日もテスト頑張るぜ。
She said this jokingly and chased after her friends while waving her colorful orange umbrella.
一緒に帰らないのかよ。
Oh, it's just you, Mobile. It doesn't matter whether we return together or not.
よくねえよ。お前ら最近ずっと一緒だったじゃねえか。気持ち悪いくらいベッタベタしてよ。
You're not getting clingy.
してました。なんとか部がどうとかって言ってさ。
What are you sulking about? You haven't joined us.
はぁ？誰がお前らなんかとピッピー。
Don't spit in the hallway!
大体おかしいと思ってたんだよ。だってお前、昔アゲハに告白して振られただろ？
I stiffened reflexively. How do you know about that?
アゲハから聞いた。なのにまたつるんだりして、恋愛経験豊富な俺に言わせりゃ、それは不自然ってもんだ。
You know, I think you're misunderstanding something. That was back when we were kids, and, Kotri, how long have you been there?
知らない。何も聞いてないから。
After throwing this terribly easy to see through denial, she escaped down the hallway at top speed in her wheelchair. Mama, you asshole!
じゃあなー。
Hey, hold it! Masatsuko skipped away as I tried to retaliate. Hey, Kotori!
私、何にも聞いてないから。聞いてないことについて聞かれても答えようがないから。
Is that so? Going against what our teacher said, Kotori and I dropped by the Soaring Club garage. Because it had been raining all day today, the humidity of the garage was stifling. While we were sitting down in front of the air conditioner and eating lunch, we opened up the textbooks from the subjects for tomorrow's exams. Damn that Mabo. The matter that Masatsugu had slipped just now, had let slip just now, really was some. It happened when we were kids. I think that I had probably forgotten all about it. You know, that makes the whole, like, things I heard about Ageha's route even worse. Since that implies that, like, with Kana, none of them actively confessed, so it never went anywhere. Or, if I remember correctly, if someone did confess, that was never a straight-up rejection. It was just, like, beating around the bush, basically. But if in Ageha's case, there's gonna be, like, a straight-up rejection, but, oh, still going sex for and all that, because she's, like, scared of the committal, then that would be terrible. If that's not the case, that's good. That's great. That's fantastic. But if you like him and then you reject him, well, sorry, but honest to God, I have no fucking sympathies for you. You had your chance. Presented on a gold fucking platter, and you threw it away. Anyways. And again, they were kids, so I can't really blame them for that. Specifically. Don't really think about that kind of stuff. It's kids. Even if she did remember, it could be slightly embarrassing, but these kinds of memories wouldn't make us feel uncomfortable or anything. It was when we still didn't really understand the differences between boys and girls. You could call that youthful silliness. So I didn't think it had any special meaning. Senpai, was the exam?
受けてない。
Huh? That's right, she was deliberately dropping credits. She took the test like everyone else. She's so smart, she'd top of the class without even trying. The way Senpai wasn't hungry today for a change. By the way, Senpai wasn't hungry today for a change, so it seems the lunchbox I brought for her will go to waste. I'll put it in the fridge so she can eat it later when she gets hungry.
葵くん。
Huh?
姫木さんのことだけど。
What? I thought you didn't hear anything. Kotori continued, ignoring my
さっ
sarcasm.
き、廊下で話してたでしょ。あの子、何か言ってた？
Not really. She said that she has something to do, so she's going home.
姫木さん、私たちのこと避けてない？ここにも来ないし。
Since Anya said that she was going to focus on the robotics club, she hadn't come to the garage even once. While club activities are suspended during the exams, isn't it weird that we're actually coming here?
そうかしら。ねえ、やっぱりあの話。
Yeah. It was actually bothering me a little, so yesterday I talked about it with someone I knew from the robotics club. I asked about the situation on that day Aga was summoned. At the time, Aga said it was decided that her team would enter the contest. However, considering the news, her expression was too gloomy. I wonder if they didn't tell her something more. Could it be that being in two clubs at the same time was putting her in a difficult position? That's what I was worried about. But from what I heard, there were hardly any complaints from the other club members. They said that there weren't many people in the robotics club who were as enthusiastic as her. Even so, the advisor of the robotics club was Tobioka Kujira. I had heard rumors about him when we were looking for members for our club. Apparently, he had a grudge against Amane, and it was said that he was saw the Soaring Club as enemies. The credibility of the rumor itself wasn't certain. It seems that when Anya was summoned that day, Tobioka told her this: holding positions in two clubs at once is not allowed. You must quit one of them.
このまま来なくなっちゃうかもね。
Clatter. Staring at the drawing board, Amane dropped her pen.
すまない。
Apologizing to no one in particular, she picked up the pen. Senpai had also been acting a little strangely since Agya stopped coming. She's been fidgety and seemed restless. Agya said this would last until the local qualifiers for the robotics contest. It sucks that the production of the main wings has been slowed down, but let's wait until then.
でも、もし辞める気なら、早いとこ行ってほしいわね。また部員探さないといけないんだから。
While she listlessly poked at her omelet, Kotori voiced her complaints.
お前ら、ここで何してる?
Suddenly a man's deep voice resounded inside the garage. He looked at the entrance in surprise and saw a middle-aged man standing there. From the open door, humidity and the sound of the rain violently hitting the ground came inside the garage.
あいつ。
Speaking of the devil, it was the robotics club advisor Tobioka Kujira.
今は試験中だぞ。部活動は禁止だって知らんのか?
知ってます。だから部活してたわけじゃありません。
何?
He don't lunge at him.
だってムカつくんだもん。
Reading our lunches and studying for tomorrow's exam. Tobioka glared straight at me. Looked like he would never believe the words of a student. But I wasn't lying. I've just transferred here, so there are many things that are unknown in the specialist subjects Mochizuki was teaching me. Kotori also wasn't too great with these subjects, so we had a valid reason to study for exams right here. Of course, having air conditioning was another reason.
お前らか。ソアリング部の新入部員ってのは。
Seems you tentatively accepted my explanation and asked another
悪い
question.
ことは言わん。こんな部やめておけ。
なんですって。
何かに打ち込みたいなら、ロボット部に入ればいい。
Why would you say something like that, Sensei? While I was trying to hold Kotori back, I unintentionally let some anger slip into my retort, though I really was that annoyed.
生徒を指導するのが教師の務めだ。姫木にもそう言っておいた。
やっぱり、あいつ、姫木さんを脅したのよ。許せない。
Why, calm down. Kotori looked like but she would have charged a wheelchair into Tobioka if it wasn't for me holding her back. So what did you say?
しばらく考えると言ってたな。まあ、よほどのバカじゃない限り、答えは一つだろう。これでもあいつには目をかけてるんだ。うちの部員の中じゃ優秀な方だからな。
あの子はやめたりしないわ。だって、あんなに一生懸命頑張ってたんだもの。
だからだ。どうせ真剣に打ち込むなら将来性がある方がいい。こんな、どこも目指してないようなクラブじゃなくな。
Aimless, you say. We do have aim, we have a clear objective. Topeka scoffed at our retort. You weren't participating in competitions or making any publications. Perhaps to a teacher like him, it looked like we were just doing this for fun.
それにな、もうやるだけ無駄なんだよ。ソアリング部はこの夏で廃部だ。そうだったな、望月。
それは、部員が私一人だったからではないでしょうか。今はこの通り、葵くんや小鳥たちがいますので。
約束は約束だ。
Tobioka forcefully interrupted Aminek's calm explanation.
必ず守ってもらうぞ。
He emphasized that and left the garage, squaring his shoulders.
どういうことなの？あまねちゃん！
Is it true? Is it true that the club will have its status revoked? As Tobioka had left, we both drew close to Amane.
飛岡先生が約束の中身を誤解しているんじゃないかな。廃部というのは約束を果たした結果生じる副産物であって。なん
なの？その約束って。
私はこの夏で引退するんだ。
Leaving? We were dumbfounded, stunned to hear this so suddenly.
あまねちゃんって、この先もずっとここにいるんじゃなかったの？
That's what I thought too. Thought she was gonna stay here even after we leave.
私は本来留年できる年数を過ぎて学校に留まっている。学校側からの特別な許可を得てのことだ。その代わりにいくつかの約束を交わした。その一つが今年の夏で部活を引退し、春には卒業するというものだ。
引退して、卒業。
What about the revocation of the club status?
さっきも言った通り、そんな約束はしていない。飛岡先生の思い違いだ。この何年か、ずっと一人でやってきた。新しい部員が入ることもなく。だから学校側は、私の引退と同時に、ソアリング部を廃部にするつもりでいたんだろう。
Hearing about these things all of a sudden left me slightly confused. You fine with this? With that? With quitting?
いいも悪いもない。学校側が許してくれないだろうし。これは、父との約束でもあるんだ。
Teacher, your father, all these promises she made with adults. I didn't know what all of those people were thinking, but I did know that there were things that would be lost because of them.
だから、それまでに。
Amane picked up the photo frame that was placed on the desk. The once empty frame now displayed that beautiful photograph of the passage of clouds bathed in the morning sunlight.
それまでに、ここへ行きたいんだ。
Senpai stared at the photograph as if she were looking at something far, far
み
away.
んなが来てくれて、もしかしたらって思い始めてた。 今度こそ届くかもしれないって。
Maybe. This time. Considering all those years Amina had spent in this garage, her words felt very heavy. Listening to her words beside me, Kotri was quietly biting her lip. That was fucking weird.
Ani, どうしたの?
Is Aga here?
あーちゃんならコンビニに行くって出てったよ。
See, thanks.
携帯にかけてみれば?
Nah, it's fine. I want to speak to her face to face.
ふひひ。テスト勉強頑張ってる自分にご褒美あげないとね。ご褒美といえば、ハーゲンダッチのクッキー&クリーム。いただきまーす。
Oh, you have some delicious. Aga defenselessly stuffing her wide open mouth with ice cream, choked, and spit it out.
葵、いきなり声かけないでよ。
Sorry, you should eat it at home.
溶けちゃうじゃん。それに、こうやって外で食べるのが贅沢なんだよ。葵も一口食べる？
Ooh, I'll have a little.
あーん。
Stop talking like that, it's embarrassing. That said, I took the spoonful that Aga offered into my mouth. Oh, that's nice. What flavor is this?
クッキー&クリーム&アゲハちゃん関節キス味。
There's some unnecessary stuff mixed in, but it's great either way. I'll try buying it next time.
少しは照れやがれ。これだから幼馴染ってやつは。
When we were kids, it was normal for us to drink the same juice while passing it around. Right now, getting shy about something like sharing an ice cream would have been more embarrassing. In other words, I was slightly embarrassed, but played it cool.
んで、あんた何してんのこんなとこで。明日の試験勉強やんなくていいの？
I heard from Otoru that you'd be here.
わざわざ、うち行ったんだ。
Can we talk for a bit?
うん。いいよ。
The rain had continued to pour since this morning had stopped in the evening, and the beautiful starry sky had spread above us. It was humid, but the breeze was refreshing. So as we walked along the deserted lakeside promenade, I brought up the difficult subject. Heard from someone in the robotics club, Tobioka had said something to you, didn't he?
ああ、その話か。別に。掛け持ちが高速で禁止されてるわけでもなし。気にすることないと思うよ。
Even if you say that. Said that Tobioka had a pretty strong influence amongst the teachers. When that person keeps an eye on you, it's certainly troublesome.
まあ、でも、ちょっと誤算はあったかな。ソアリング部には天音先輩がいるから、私は遠巻きに見ながら、ちょっとお手伝いするだけで大丈夫なんじゃないかなって思ってたんだよね。
So that's why you thought it would be alright to be in both clubs? Aga nodded.
まさかね。あそこまで不器用とは。そんな天音先輩も、なんか可愛くて好きだけど。
Honest to God, just to rub it in, like if he's gonna be like, well, you have to choose one club, well, you can't choose both clubs, choose one of them. Just like, okay, if you're gonna be like that, I'm gonna be choosing that one. Like, I have no reason to stay with the asshole advisor, so I'll be going now. Bye-bye! Have fun! Since she does seem to be like the most promising member of the robotics club. Tobioka is the advisor to the robotics club, alright? If you don't quit the soaring club, you'll have to leave the robotics club, won't you?
やっぱそうなっちゃうのかな。困るな。どっちか選べって言われてもさ。
Okay. Please, don't quit.
どっちを？
Soaring club.
だよね。
Aga looked troubled by me saying this so boldly. Holding onto the railing of the promenade, she leaned forward towards the lake. On the surface of the lake, there was Calm after the rain, campus reflected stars were flickering.
ねえ、覚えてる？秘密基地ごっこ。
I remember. When I lived here, there was a quiet abandoned building. We sought the spot, built inside an alley on the outskirts of the Kasami shopping district. We made it our secret base, and we gathered there and played together.
あれ、楽しかったよね。
Yeah, took all sorts of toys there and remodeled it on our own convenience. I think that most people must have made secret bases as kids, but we were proud of our secret base because it was much bigger, better, and generally cooler than others. One day, some bullies from the neighborhood came to overtake our secret base, and we fought together to repel them. This and various other things happened there. Speaking of which, what happened to that abandoned
ウ
building?
ィンディ風が浦の下敷き。
So that means it was swallowed by the wave of redevelopment. So what about it?
似てるんだよね。ソアリング部のガレージの雰囲気が。
It is, now that you mention it. Standing at the back of the school grounds, it feels like it's almost forgotten by everyone. Amane suggests successive generations of members redecorated it as they saw fit. Unknown things were jumbled and piled up all over the place. It looked very chaotic, yet you could feel the presence of people who have been there.
だからかな。最近、やたらと楽しいんだよね。楽しすぎて、ついうっかり夢中になっちゃうくらい。でも、ロボット部も好きで入ったんだし、今回コンクールに出られるのは、すごく嬉しいことなんだよ。
Yeah. I heard that Aga has inspired the juniors who lacked motivation and helped the construction of their robots to proceed. She had a responsibility to them too.
出られなくなった先輩たちの分も、やれるだけのことはしておきたい。それが私のけじめってやつかな。
So you're...
コンクールが終わったらやめるつもり。
Fine with that? Asked her for this myself. So saying that might be a little strange. She looked like she still had a lingering attachment.
いいのいいの。ロボット作るのは楽しかったけど、今は、グライダーが楽しくてしょうがないんだな。あまね先輩と一緒にものづくりができるのは、すごい刺激だし。
Think so?
そうだよ。あんたももっと感激しなさい。
The impact of our first meeting was so strong that we always considered her an amusing person instead of an amazing person. Whoops. The truth is, whoops, hold on. There's one more thing. This was the main issue. It looks like Amon is going to quit this summer.
何それ？
Today at lunchtime, Tobioka came to the garage. Then told Aga everything that had happened at the garage at lunchtime. About our exchange with Tobioka and Amina's promise.
あまね先輩が引退？だって超留年してずっと続けてきたんだよ。これからだってきっと。
She said it was a promise with the teachers. Amina is planning to quit this summer.
そんな。
If you don't come back soon, we probably won't make it in time. After the incident that day, Kotri and I checked the work schedule. Assuming that Aga would come back as planned, we'd just barely make it in time to do a test flight during the summer holidays. Not to mention flying to that passage of clouds. Sorry, I know that what I'm saying is unreasonable. But I couldn't just keep quiet and tell you about it later. I'm well aware that I'm urging her to make a difficult choice. However, telling her when it is too late would only make her feel worse. That's why it was better to talk about it while there was still hope.
そっか。あまね先輩、引退しちゃうのか。
Aga muttered quietly while deep in thought, tapping her chin with a finger. She loitered one lap around the palace. Palace? Place. She remembered her Haagen-Dazs and ate it.
ああ、溶けちゃった。
Aga put the emptied ice cream cup on top of the railings, leaned on it and looked down.
じゃあ次は、葵の番。
Mine?
葵が自分のこと話すの。
Well, fine. What is it? I was slightly perplexed by this unexpected turn of events. Aga fixatedly looked straight at me, almost to the point of glaring.
葵は どうして自転車やめちゃったの？
Huh? Couldn't immediately think of any model answer to such an abrupt question. That's because there's no cycling club here.
自転車部なくたって趣味で続けることはできるでしょ？なのに全然乗ってないよね、自転車。
I was at a loss for words. Agaya looked at me as if she saw right through me.
この前のレースで事故したのと関係があるの？
How do you know?
レースの結果くらいネットで調べられるよ。私、あんちゃんから葵のレースのこと聞いて見に行けなかったのすんごい悔しくてさ、表彰台に上がったんでしょ？だからずっとネットで見てたの。葵のレース結果。
That's what Masatsuga was talking about before. Agaya felt bad about it, that she couldn't see you at your best. You knew about that, didn't you? That time I thought it was strange that Agaya hadn't asked me anything about my cycling. She regretted that she couldn't come and watch. I thought she would ask me why I didn't carry on, just like she did just now.
事故があったのも、葵がリタイアしたのも、そこに書いてあった。で、どうしてやめちゃったの？ねえ、どうして？
Agaya, still looking up at me, stepped over a puddle and drew closer without hesitation. I was injured. My knee. That's why I couldn't carry on.
やっぱり、そうなんだ。
It wasn't just cycling. She only had to ask whether or not that was also the reason why I changed schools. She knew that I didn't want to talk about it, so she didn't ask me.
どうして言ってくれなかったの？
Because it's lame. That I got hurt and came running back home.
みっともなくないよ。
Oh, it is. It's nothing but whining. I didn't want to show you guys that pathetic side of me.
かっこいい。
What? Are you making fun of me?
うん。
Are you? She doesn't know what I felt when I quit cycling, returned home, and...
だって、ハバネさんには見せたんでしょ？みっともないところ。
Why do you know something like this?
半分当てずっぽ。でもやっぱ話してたんだ。
Well, that's... I was flustered. Naga gave me a sidelong glare. Certainly, even I thought it was strange that back then I talked with Kotori about things I hadn't told Aga and the others. Oddly enough, that conversation took place right where we are now. Where we were now. I probably told her because she had suffered a much worse injury than me, lost so much, and felt such great despair. Then she couldn't bear the weight of this burden and started to break. I wanted to go closer to her, even just a little, so I revealed my weakest side. I'm really sorry! Pah! I bowed my head with all my might.
声出てないよ。元体育会系の水瀬葵くん。
I had my reasons, really, please believe me! You said you wanted to drop out of school and I couldn't think of a good way to persuade her to stay.
ハバネさんを思いとどまらせるために、大親友の私にも言えないようなことを打ち明けたと。
Yes, that's right.
ねえ、葵。
That's what is it?
ハバネさんと付き合ってるの？
Huh?
いっつも一緒にいるし、そう見えなくもないんだけど、もし付き合ってるのに秘密にされてるんだったら、なんか気まずいし、引け目感じちゃって言いづらいから、ソアリング部やめちゃおっかな。
No, that's definitely not it.
じゃあ好きなの？
What are you talking about?
声が裏返った。怪しい。
If I didn't like her, I wouldn't spend so much time with her. What? Girls and boys can't be friends? I answered back in a childishly defiant way, but I really didn't see her that way. If that's what you're saying, then you and I are like that too. Actually, there are some people who do mistakenly think that we're dating.
じゃあ、ハバネさんとは、ただのお友達だと。
Nah, just friends.
今、一番仲のいい。ね。
Can't deny that.
ああ、私が葵の一等親友だったのは、もう過去の話か。
When it comes to friends, there is no number one.
わかってないな。私にとっちゃ、葵の一番の親友であることは、とても特別なことなの。だって、小さい頃からそうだったんだから、一番かそうじゃないかは大きいよ。 一番なら、怪我のことも話してくれてたよ、きっと。
You can say something like this without getting even a little embarrassed.
関節キスで照れない奴が何を言うかね。もしかして、女扱いされてませんか？
Well, it's not that I wasn't flustered, I was just embarrassed to show it, that's all. Could it be that I was the same?
いっそ付き合っちゃえばいいのに。そしたら、私が一番の親友に返り咲き。
Oh, that you like! More importantly, let's talk about the club. Force a completely sidetracked conversation back to the topic at hand.
はいよ。
Everyone was worried that you're just going to quit if things carry on like this.
ハバネさん、怒ってたんじゃない？私が急にこんなことになって。
Well, a little. But you told Tobioka there's no way you'd quit in a very caustic voice.
嘘？本当に？それは生で聞きたかったな。
Amina has also been acting weird. She's lost all her vigor since she stopped coming.
アマネ先輩が？
That's why even if it's impossible right now, you definitely have to come back eventually.
ありがとう。
Aga replied bashfully. The final day of the end-of-term exams. The feeling of liberation after finishing the exams instantly brightened up the mood in the classroom. There was only one more day of the first term left. After the closing ceremony tomorrow, the summer vacation will finally begin.
葵！
Aga stopped chatting with the girls from our class about their plans for the summer holidays and came over to me. What's up?
後で話があるんだけど、
Sure, but can't we talk now?
この後、ちょっと用事があってね。
Ah, the robotics club.
ちょっちラブレターもらっちゃってね。その返事しなきゃいけないの。
What? Her face stiffened reflexively. Aga looked like she was enjoying my reaction.
いいね、いいね。その顔。幼馴染が他の誰かに取られちゃうって心配になった？ちった私の気持ちも分かったろ。
How are you going to respond? Asked cautiously.
さーて、それは話を聞いてみないと。
I see, I wish you all the best. I decided not to get in her way any further and quickly left the classroom.
ありゃりゃ、意外と私、愛されてる？待たせたわね。今来たとこ。なんちゃって。びっくりしたよ。朝来たら、机の中にラブレターが入ってるんだもん。ラブレター？あれ？違うの？私、告白されちゃうと思って、ドキドキして待ってたんだけど。そうよ。マジ？姫木さんが、私のこと嫌ってるのは知ってる。は？私のこと目障りだって言うなら、出ていくわ。だからお願い！ソアリング部をやめないで！はい？何言ってんですか？あまねちゃんが大変なの！飛び岡っていうムカつく先生と約束してて、この夏で部活を引退しちゃうのよ！だから、それまでに飛べるようにならなきゃいけない。飛べるだけじゃダメよ。あの雲の上まで行けるようにしないと。そのためには、あなたの力が必要なの。私なんて、いてもいなくても一緒だけど、あなたは違う。姫木さんがいないと、翼が完成しない。飛べない。あまねちゃんは、ずっと頑張ってきたのよ。イスカとの約束を果たすために。それが何なのか、いまいちよくわかんないけど、でも、とにかく、あまねちゃんが飛べないのは、かわいそうでしょって言ってんの！いや、そこで私に逆ギレされても。もし、私が目障りなんだったら、今すぐ辞める。いなくなる。学校だって辞めちゃってもいい。その代わり、ソアリング部に残ってほしいの。ハバネさん。 や、
nah.
やだ。だって私、ハバネさんのこと嫌いじゃないもん。そりゃまあ、時々ムカつく。私が残るとハバネさんが辞めるって言うなら、そんなのお断りよ。
じゃあ、どうすりゃいいのよ。
ハバネさんは残って翼を作る。私はそのお手伝いをする。
だから、それができないから困ってんでしょ。
ハバネさんこそ、私のこと嫌い？目障りだって思ってる？
思ってないわ。そんなの。そりゃあ、時々
今、うざいって言おうとしたね。
These two are very similar.
してない。私、あなたのこと前ほど嫌いじゃないわ。今は、好きよ。
Yeah, I should probably close this now. Actually, hold on. Where did I put Flynn? There's Flynn.
私ってほら、素直じゃないでしょ。ないのよ、素直じゃ。そういう時は、チョップしていいから。痛くないと覚えないから、私。痛い。何すんのよ。
いや、しろって言うから。
素直じゃない時、なんでもない時にチョップするのは暴力。
オーケー、覚えた。
この町で育った連中は、みんな暴力的なのかしら。
で、なんだっけ？
ソアリング部の話。
そっかそっか。じゃあ行こっか。
どこへ？
みんなのところ。ちょっとした提案があるんだ。
チース
A rather entertaining combo of two second-year girls came in. Hi there.
相棒。
Okay, looked at me with a broad
ど
grin.
うしたんだ、アゲハ。ロボット部に行かなくていいのか？その前に、ちょっとお話ししたいことがあって。
Kotri, what happened?
さあ、提案がどうたらって。
Agia glared at us, whispering to each other, and cleared her
あま
throat.
ね先輩、引退の話聞きました。時間がもうないんですよね。うん。けど、私は先日お話しした通り、しばらくロボット部に専念しなくちゃいけません。今日から大会出場に向けて最後の仕上げにかかるので、部活延長届で作業できる20時ギリギリまで、多分毎日残らなきゃいけないと思います。
それじゃ、ロボット部が終わった後に、こっちに顔出すこともできないじゃない。
Agia nodded sternly. Yes, this really is a hopeless situation for us.
そこで提案があります。合宿をしましょう。合宿？そうです、合宿。
I didn't quite get what she was talking about, and we were just blankly staring at her. Why are we going to do it?
ここでよ、決まってるじゃない。
ここに泊まり込んで作業するの？
Even though we live within walking distance?
実際にここで寝泊まりする必要はないわ。生徒会に届け出をするだけでいい。
And then what? Agia grinned.
学校に残り放題。
With that, the light bulbs finally lit up above our heads.
私が来られるのは20時以降になるけど、
十分よ。
Yeah, we'll be able to work longer as well, so the schedule will be drastically shortened.
あんたらほんと好きだね。普通、夏休みが潰れるって文句言うところよ。
夏休みなんて宿題くらいしかやることないもん。
And when we complain what we can do what we like every day.
ですって。先輩、どうで？ああ、いいと思う。でも、君はそれでいいのか？ん？だって、掛け持ちする君の負担が一番大きくなる。それなら、私も葵の考えに1票かな。好きなこといっぺんにできるんですもん。 ちょっとくらいしんどくたってへっちゃらです。じゃあ決まりね。早速生徒会に合宿の届けを出しに行きましょう。
Reminds me, I had a very annoying encounter yesterday in Divinity 2 Original Sin, where I had to like basically saved an NPC and had to take her outside of a camp, and without her dying in combat. And I had finished one encounter where one enemy was like on the opposite side of the road. Basically, I was at the gate already. I was at the gate already, but my character was on this side of the gate because there was an enemy mage there, while the other two were still on this side, having finished off the last one. So I finished up the last one on this side, so I was in control of my character, which caused those two to immediately start rushing my way. And while my partner arrived there safely without being spotted, the NPC I had to escort had a slow debuff. So she had a slow start and then got spotted by an enemy and had to engage combat alone. So the other two could only join late, and all the NPCs, not NPCs, all the enemies focused on her instead of attacking my characters. And it was very annoying because she died. Like, even when my characters were actually actively attacking them, they were still like forsaking some of their action points to move towards her and kill her. So that was not nice. I redid it and took out that group first instead of sneaking past them. And then I basically didn't even go through the gate because there's a signed way after you kill those that you can take to escape. So now that I escorted her out, I'm going to go back and murder every last person in this fucking camp in retaliation. Anyways.
ああ、そうだな。ついでに副部長の届けも出すか。
Everybody looked like they suddenly remembered that was an issue. That there was that issue too.
そんなの葵くんで。私はハバネさんがいいと思うな。え？
Yeah, I think so too.
ちょっと、なんでそうなるのよ。ほら、私は所詮掛け持ちの身だし。
I've got my dorm mother duties, my dorm mother's job to do, so I'll pass.
はい、多数決取ります。ハバネさんがいいと思う人。
Everyone except Kotri quickly raised their hands.
やだ、ダメだって。私なんか一番役に立ってないし、一人じゃ何にもできないし。それでいいんじゃないか。翼を持たぬ人が空を飛ぼうと言うんだ。現代においてもそれは途方もない話だよ。そんな時一番必要になるのは技術や才能ではなく情熱だと思う。空を飛びたいという思いでみんなを引っ張っていくものが副部長になるべきだ。あまねちゃん、それあまねちゃんの役目じゃないの？だって部長はあまねちゃんなんだもん。まあまあ、もう決まったことだし。
Then, as your immediate first job, let's start with taking those those notices to the student council.
雑用押し付けてるだけでしょ。
Thus, both the training camp and the club vice president issue were settled in one fell swoop.
じゃあ、行ってくる。
I still really want to go for Amina's route first. I didn't expect my enthusiasm to be drained this much just from being unable. You know what? I say my enthusiasm drained this much. It's probably also the fact that the past few days I've tried to get up earlier. So that's possibly also a reason for some exhaustion and fatigue. But it is partially the fact that I can't do Omni first. I'm just annoyed at that. Like, I don't mind if it's like, okay, there's a split earlier and then there's a split later, like they did in A Sky Full of Stars, where it's just like, okay, there's still like a kind of, okay, you should do like, if you choose like this route, you should go for this route afterwards. Like, Sky Full of Stars handled that well, I feel. It was very obvious from the start that going for the two childhood friends would be very painful in the long run if you went for them first. So it basically encouraged you to go for the other two first. Whereupon it would be weird to then jump from those two, after only doing one of them, to Ikari and Saya. So you, of course, immediately did the other route because that's what felt natural. It was handled well. I don't like it when it's like, okay, beat one route in order to unlock something. I'm alright if it's like some kind of like true route, quote unquote. Like it is in what I consider at least Kinkoi, where you only unlock Ria's route after you did all other routes in the game, including the side route. And I'm okay when it's like, okay, you need to beat one route in order to have access to the side routes. But I doubt Amane is a side route! Especially since Amane apparently only unlocks after doing Kotori. So if you do Ageha first, you just have to do Kotori before you're able to do Amane. Like, I'm upset about this right now. If there's like if they somehow later give me some kind of reason to think like, okay, it's better this way, then I'll immediately drop my complaints. But else, right now, I'm going to complain.
行ってくる。
Kotori and Amane headed to the student council room to submit the notices.
さてと、私もロボット部に行くかな。
Okay.
お
Thanks for sticking with us.
いいのいいの。好きでやってることだもん。
By the way, how was it?
何が
You know, that thing you were talking about, the love letter?
ああ。
She grinned
すっ
again.
ごい告白されちゃった。
Amazing, you said. How so?
私のこと好きなんだって。いやー、熱い子だよ、あの子は。私、嫌いじゃないんだな、そういうの。
So, did you accept? I see, I'll be rooting for you.
ありがとう。それじゃあ、行ってくるね。
Yeah, good luck. With that, our summer holidays began. What kind of guy he is? Like, I was, like, she's a fun person, but there are moments that very much make me like it. Like, I would like her as a side character. I would not like her right now as a main heroine, is what I would say right now. It's basically the same feelings as I have for Miyako and Majikoi. Miyako and Majikoi as a side character is one of the best fucking characters in the game. She's just that good of a side character. But I don't like her as the romance material, as the heroine material. Heroine, not heroine. As the heroine material. I feel the same towards Ageha right now. Where, like, her general behavior makes her a very appealing character when it comes to, like, just characterization. But when it comes to, like, romance stuff, pulling shit like this makes her very unappealing to me. Like, yes, teasing him is fine, but in this situation, it would be fine if she immediately, like, it sure was nice of Kotori to go that far. Just something like that to make it so, oh, she's fucking messing with me, instead of making him obviously believe that she's now in a relationship. That kind of stuff makes her kind of unappealing as a character to me. Like, the fact that she didn't just lift it immediately. Like, if they immediately try, like, backpedal on that in the next scene, I'll immediately shut up about this. But right now, nah. last day of the first time, that night.
水瀬くん、悪いけどこのバスタオル洗濯しといてもらえないかな。
Sure, put in the laundry basket.
ありがとう。
私の部屋のエアコン、調子悪いんだけど。
I'll call an electrician during the summer break and have them take a look.
よろしく。明日は朝ごはんないんだよね。
If you're here, then I'll make something.
よろしくお願いします。
Everyone was busy. Of course they were. All of the boarders were heading home for the summer break. Most people will be leaving as early as tomorrow morning.
暑い。死ぬ。
Kanoko came out of the dressing room with a fan in her hand, wearing nothing but her underwear. Oh, Kanako!
廊下にもエアコンつけようよ。
Please don't walk around in your underwear just because it's hot!
だって汗でシャツが張り付いて気持ち悪いだもん。
That reminds me, someone did point out
暑い。
Miyaru's voice actress. But I don't... They did point out that there's Miyaru's voice actress. But I don't think they actually, like, told me the character. And I'm just sitting there like, what? Like, someone pointed out Miyaru's character, but, yeah, voice, but, who the fuck is that? Also, like, this video has, like, some of the most amount of, like, traffic I've had in a long time. And it, like, people commenting left and right, Jesus. Whoops. Weird, can't find it right now. It's fucking weird. Oh well. Also too late to like fact check real quick, so. Muttered to herself as she muttered to herself as she entered the dining hall. Jeez.
Wow.
This time Hat dragged himself out from Kotori's room. What, is the heat getting to you too? After I finish cleaning up, I'll spray some water on you, so just hold on a minute. I, the dorm mother, had to get ready to see everyone off, so of course I was a little busy as well. That's why I left halfway through the day's club activities and came home. Exhausted, Hat sensed something and suddenly raised his head.
ただい
Welcome back, you're a little late, aren't you?
ま。ギリギリまでやってたからね。疲れた。はいはい、ただいまハット。
Worn out, Kotori picked up Hat and put him on her lap.
暑い。喉乾いた。
Okay, I got it. I pushed the wheelchair and took Kotori into the dining hall.
おかえり、小鳥。頑張ってるね。まあ、ほどほどにね。
Spotty, you okay?
ありがとう。生き返る。
Wanna eat something?
食べる。
I ate up the dinner I had prepared in advance in the microwave.
海外しいね。
It's all the dorm mother's job. As of today, Kotri and the others had already started the training camp. I was so sorry and felt a bit frustrated, but I couldn't stay till the end because of my dorm of a job. But that ends today. Starting tomorrow, I'll be free from these duties. To do the maintenance administration for the building, though. However, there's no doubt about it. I'll be able to freely participate in the training camp. Kotri was making a fuss while eating her tantan men.
ハト、離れてなさい。あんたが食べたらきっと死んじゃうわよ。クワックワッ。
Kotri chased away Hat, who was after the vegetables and the noodles.
辛いけど美味しい。
Masochist. She complained a lot, but it seems like she liked it. By the way, you aren't returning home? I asked her.
しないわ。
Did you cancel it to stay at the training camp?
違うわ。もともとするつもりないし。
Not so. The Kotri's face not entirely convinced.
食べにくいんだけど。
Oh, sorry. Kotri was disabled. When you think about it, normally she should be spending such times as summer break at home. Choosing to stay at the dormitory away from her parents was rather strange. I wonder if there's a reason for it. And I was thinking about a vacant place.
私も帰らないよ。
What?
なんでそんなに驚くかな。私にいなくなってほしいわけ？
Nah, it's not that.
うちはこっから近いからね。本当は寮に入らなくても学校通えるし。
So why do you stay here?
追い出されたんだ。うち、両親が再婚したんだけど、あっちに年の近い男の連れ子がいてね。
This seemed quite serious. Kotri also subconsciously stopped moving her
いつも風
chopsticks.
呂上がりに下着姿で歩いてたら、お母さんから出てけって言われたの。結婚生活をぶち壊す気か、この親不孝者だって。ひどいと思わない？
Kotri went back to her meal while muttering, taking this seriously was a waste of time. Huh. I think that's kind of your fault for wandering around in your underwear. I mean, after getting kicked out for that, she's still doing exactly the same thing here.
ま、ちょいちょい顔出しに帰るけど、基本はこっちに残るから、よろしくね。
It appears that not all boarders will be leaving for the summer after all.
ああ、ダメダメ。樹脂つけすぎだって。これじゃ薄すぎるんじゃないの？樹脂の割合が多いと強度が弱くなるの。前に教えたでしょ？だからって薄すぎじゃないかしら。
First few days at the training camp, the construction of the main wings was proceeding smoothly. Like I was focusing on the robotics club, but when she had time, she would show up here at the garage. And then she would quarrel with Kotri.
どれどれ。私が見本を見せてやろう。
No.
ちょっとあまねちゃん、何してんの？そうですよ。ここは私らに任せて、あまね先輩はあっちで涼んでてください。私も混ざりたいのに。
Amane returned downheartedly, looking like an old lady was just told off by her daughter and son-in-law. Hey, you guys, don't be so mean to senpai.
別にいじめてなんてないわよ。ねえ、そうよ。あまねちゃんや葵くんが乗った時、空中でバラバラになっちゃわないように、心を鬼にして言ってるだけなんだから。
Right. Mustn't fall upon Medea under no circumstances.
いいんだ、いいんだ。どうせ私なんて。
See, she lost all her confidence.
じゃあ、こっち手伝ってください。出来上がった部品を磨くの。いいのか？ええ。それなら後でやり直せるし。磨くぞ。
Amane started enthusiastically polishing the parts that were finished already. It was one of the huge plates. It was made by joining several separately made boards. It was the top part of the left wing will be connected with the underside part once it's complete. We had to polish it before that until it's shiny, but it takes a really long time. That's because it has such a huge, large surface.
綺麗にできてるな。すごいな。アゲハも小鳥も。
She admired it while polishing.
これはいい機体になりそうだ。
Listening to her monologue. The both smiled awkwardly. For some reason, they seemed the happiest when being praised by Senpai. The guys seem to be having fun. I've been helping out as well, but compared to them, I didn't really feel like I was doing much.
何言ってんの。この翼が完成したら、あんたが飛ぶんだからね。そうよ。あなたはパイロットなのよ。
Yeah, that's right. These wings that everyone is working so hard to build are what we'll use to fly, carrying everyone's hopes. Those words may seem cliche, but after witnessing everyone working like this, I really meant that. I never thought about that when I was riding a bike. Bikes are also made by someone piece by piece, something they put their heart and soul into. Back in those days, I was completely engrossed in riding, as I was still immature.
さあ、作業再開。今日中にこれ仕上げたいもんね。
After being praised by Senpai, they looked even more fired up. Then the sun went down. At the same time, Agia, who went to the robotics club for a while, came back and said, "Alright, here we go." In other words, it was time to show what our training camp was all about.
邪魔するぞー。
Huh? Anchan?
よ、葵。
Anchan carrying a big watermelon on his arm entered the
お邪魔
garage.
します。
Otaru was right behind them.
あんちゃん、どうしたの？
差し入れだ。お前んとこのおばさんがくれたんだけど、うちじゃ食い切れそうにないから持ってきた。
Anchan looked at Otaru as if asking for confirmation. I guess it was Otaru who brought that big watermelon to Anchan's house. Anchan passed the watermelon to me and looked around the garage.
あんま変わってないな。ごちゃごちゃと汚いまんまだ。
Anchan, have you been here before?
ああ、昔な。
Anchan graduated from the school. That's why it wasn't really that strange. Still, this garage wasn't a deserted place far from the school building. Anchan walked further inside. Hamane was there, facing the drawing board and muttering. She was deeply concentrated and completely unaware of what was going on around her.
効力を抑えるには、やはりここの局面を。
相変わらずだな、あまね。
Realizing that Anchan was looking at her, Amane raised her face. She looked completely taken aback.
達也。
よ、
達也じゃないか。
久しぶりだな。
After Anchan greeted her, Amane got up from her seat and walked around him. Then she patted him on the shoulder.
ほんとだ、達也だ。久しぶりだな。なになに？どういうこと？さあ。
Don't ask me. Seems that these two were old acquaintances. Hotaru started cutting the watermelon with one of the utility knives used in our work.
懐かしいな。けど、どうしたんだ、急に。
前に葵からグライダーの部品がいるって頼まれてな。それでもしかしてって思ったんだ。
はいはい、質問。
Hotaru raised her hand
どうぞ
vigorously.
お嬢さん。
二人は知り合いなんですか？
Aga and I wanted to know too, but we found it kind of hard to ask about it. However, Hotaru just went ahead and did that easily. Nice.
ああ、俺はここの卒業生で、あまねとは同期だったんだ。
Aga and I counted Anchan's age on our
ほん
fingers.
とだ、同い年だ。
Anchan was already a full-fledged working adult while Amane was still a student. However, those two were certainly the same age.
卒業してから会ってなかったけど、まだ続けてたんだな。
Anchan smiled as he spoke.
まだ目指してるのか？
あ、この目であの雲の回廊を見るまでは、やめられないからな。
そうか。そうだったな。
Somehow it felt like a conversation we couldn't join. And then
追加切れたよ。
Hotaru put the watermelon on a dish, the one Kotori made from FBR the other day, and brought it
ちょ
over.
っと不格好になっちゃったけど。
It was cut with a utility knife, so the shapes of the slices were rather irregular. It won't change the taste, though. Everyone grabbed a slice and bit into
冷
it.
えてないけど、甘い。ほんとだ、甘い。
先輩も、どうぞ。
ありがとう。
Amane took a slice of the watermelon offered by Hotaru.
スイカか。 久しぶりに食べるな。何年ぶりだろう。
As she said that, she was a little lost about how to eat it. She looked around at everyone and mimicked us by taking a big bite. Was also eating it without worrying about good manners. And in summer, you just have to have a watermelon.
達也は今、どうしてるんだ？
実家の工場で働いてるよ。
ああ、例の。この間、雑誌で取り上げられてるのを読んだぞ。あんちゃん雑誌に載ったの？
俺じゃないよ。うちの工場が載ったんだ。
What kind of article was it?
日本の町工場が NASA からロケットの部品を受注しているっていう記事だった。町工場でロケット作ってるの？
機械じゃうまく作れない部品があるんだ。そういうのをうちの職人さんたちが作ってる。
You make them too, Anchan?
記事に載った仕事は俺も手伝ったよ。
確か打ち上げは成功して、もうすでに宇宙を飛んでるんだったな。あんちゃんが作った部品が宇宙を飛んでるんだ。
It was so incredible, it almost felt unreal.
あんちゃんの話聞いてたらうずいてきちゃった。ハバネさん、続きやるよ。おー。
Kotori was still halfway through her watermelon, ate the rest of it in one go and followed Aka.
早くこの子を飛ばそう。
いい雰囲気じゃないか。
ああ、まるであの頃に戻ったみたいだろ。
そうだな。
これでどう？
ん？おう、いいんじゃないか？
姫木さん、いいって。あんちゃん、こっちも見てよ。
おう、待ってろ。
After everyone had eaten the watermelon, Anchan and Hotaru helped with the rest of the work in the garage. Having a couple of extra hands was already a big help, but Anchan was a pro at that. He really showed us how to get things done. It was really motivating. Thanks to that, we got an unexpected amount of work done. With just the work we did today, we've managed to push our schedule forward a lot, haven't we?
4、5日分は進んだかも。あなたたちのあんちゃんさんは化け物ね。どうやったらあんな風にできるのかしら。
Amane was watching our conversation, sitting alone away from us. Then I ended up standing beside her.
賑やかだな。
It's the first time this many people have gathered here. Amane smiled with her whole face.
そうか。葵くんと達也は幼馴染だったのか。
I was surprised too that you and Anchan knew each other.
達也は君たちの先輩になるんだぞ。うちの元部員だからな。
That's so. What I heard from their conversation, I thought that might have been the case.
先に卒業してしまったからな。あの機体のコックピットをレストアしたのは達也なんだ。私と違って手先が器用だったからな。達也が作っていれば主翼が折れることもなかったろう。
So that's how it was. I didn't know that I didn't know that I've been touching something Anchan had left behind. Why didn't Anchan tell me that he used to be a member of the soaring club? Was it simply because he thought there was no need to tell me? Or did he have a reason?
葵、サボってないで手伝え。そうよ。今日中にやれるだけやるんだから。
That's alright! I'll be going. Senpai saw me off with a smile as I went to join everyone. Like this, our training camp went on late into the night.
それじゃあ、俺たちはそろそろ帰るよ。ホタルの門限もあるしな。
Anchan came here in a small truck from the workshop and apparently was going to drop Hotaru off on the way home.
今日はありがとう、あんちゃん。おかげで助かったよ。ありがとうございました。
Following Arya, Kotori was also bowed her head. Speaking of which, that was the first time I saw Kotori talking to someone using polite speech.
何？お前たちのためならいつだって力になるさ。それに、久しぶりに学生時代に戻ったみたいで楽しかった。またな、あまね。
ああ、また。ホテル、お母さんに遅くなるって言っといて。うん、わかった。
Anchan left along with Hotaru. Only the usual group remained.
さて、私らも引き上げる準備しますかね。そうね。樹脂が固まるまでやることないし。あまね先輩は今日も残っていくんですか？ あ
Senpai answered as he went back to the seat by the drawing
あ。
board.
あまねちゃんっていつも何時頃帰ってるの？
She was staying behind and working even after the three of us had gone home almost every day. Now that I think about it, you're always here before us in the mornings
そう
too.
だな。
What time do you get here?
ん？さあ。
Already half absorbed by the drawing board, she only gave a vague reply.
さあって。はっ！まさか。
At that moment, everyone arrived at the same answer. Senpai. You aren't going home at all!
っていうか、ここに住んでる？ああ。
I recalled the conversation I had with her a few days ago. Yesterday I returned home for the first time in ages. Yes, that's what she said. I thought that she lived alone and had been back to her family house in a long time, but...
家が遠いんだ。ここには椅子も机もあって不便がないからな。不便でしょ？ベッドもお風呂もご飯もないし。風呂なら体育館にシャワーがあるぞ。ご飯は学食へ行けばいい。いやいや、学食はお昼休みだけだし、だいたいもう夏休みでやってないし。
I wonder that she's always so hungry.
もしかしてあまねちゃん、もうずっとそんな生活してるんじゃ。
Kotori asked timidly.
そういや、そうだな。
She's hopeless. We need to do something about this fast. Take her to the dorm! So that's how it is,
空
Mom.
き部屋なら好きに使っていいわよ。夏休みも管理してくれてるんだから、そのくらいのわがままは聞いてあげるわ。
Thanks, Mom. Go ahead,
お
Senpai.
邪魔します。
They had forcibly brought Amane to the dormitory. There were a lot of vacant rooms here, and since most of the boarders had gone home, it won't bother anyone.
飛び魚。
Senpai stared at the entrance hall, which was far more grand than you would expect from a student dormitory. Speaking of which, it seems Senpai already knew about Flying Fish Manor. That's probably because Isuka used to live here.
クワー。
Sensei that Kotori had come home, Hat came over and to welcome her. As usual, he was going to jump on Kotori's lap, but...
ハットじゃないか。クワ。
Amane went over to Hat and stroked his head.
元気だったか、ハット。クワクワ。お前、まだここにいたのか。ハトのこと知ってるの？ああ、知ってるぞ。この子はイスカが連れてきたんだ。そうなの？
When Kanako was talking about Hat before, she said it was unknown who started keeping him here and since when. So this duck was brought here by Isuka. Wasn't really a big mystery or anything, but Aga still seemed disappointed about how easily it had been
いい
solved.
なあ。みんなでここに住むんだ。あなたも泊まっていけばいいじゃない。部屋はいっぱいあるんだから。え、いいの？
There's only one room that can be used right away, though. Other rooms were either a bit dusty because I haven't been cleaning them, or they were used as substitute storerooms. Was no air conditioning either, so the living conditions would be pretty bad.
葵の部屋に泊めてもらうってわけにもいかないか。
Of course not. We're not kids anymore.
昔よく泊まりっこしたよね。
Staying over at each other's houses during summer holidays used to be a routine
そ
for
れ
us.
なら、やっぱいい。なんでもない。
Come on, don't be like that. Finish what you were gonna say.
私の部屋に泊まればいいんじゃない？やっぱなし、今のなし。いいの？いいわよ。別に私は困らないし。
I ship it.
ベッドは一つしかないけど、ひばり姉が泊まる時用の布団とかあるし。
Aga jumped at the chance unexpectedly eagerly. Kotori, still a little nervous, replied,
そういうわけだから。
Alright then, from today onward is where we'll all be staying. And that's how it went.
というわけだから、ホタル、お母さんに言っといて。そう、葵んとこ。じゃあ、よろしくね。
After a late dinner, Aga called her home. She asked Hotaru, who had been taken home already by Anchan, to pass the message. She probably would have been scolded if she told them directly. Normally, it wouldn't be a problem for her to stay at a dormitory, but it was kind of out of the blue.
いい湯だった
With that, Kanako appeared.
裸のお姉さんちゃんと下着つけてるけど
How many times have I asked you not to wander around dressed like that?
だって暑いんだもん。それよりお風呂空いたよ。
Well then, you guys can go first. I'll go in there last.
はーい。
Oh yes, take care, Kotari.
頼むって何をいいってそういうの。
There's nothing to be shy about. You're always saying how you'd love to soak in the bathtub.
遠慮じゃないもん。
Seeing how Kotari was embarrassed, Naga didn't ask what this was all about any further. She just pushed Kotari's wheelchair along with, like it was no big deal.
さあ、行こう小鳥。
Kotari twitched in surprise when Naga addressed her like this.
やっぱ慣れ慣れしかった？そんなことない。名字だと長いし、あまり語呂良くないし、呼びにくいでしょ？だから呼びやすい方で呼んでくれれば。ハバネ小鳥。長さは同じじゃないか
Unable to read the situation, Amane unintentionally played the straight man.
さんをつけろこのデコスケちゃん野郎わ
Amane staggered back as if she got poked hard in the forehead.
小鳥が怒った。
I feel that she is becoming more and more impolite towards Amane lately. In this case, it probably can't be helped though.
じゃあ、小鳥で。
Aga asked to make sure with an expression filled with anticipation.
そして、アゲハ。それじゃあ、お風呂行きましょうか。あまね先輩も行きましょう。行く。
The girls follow each other into the bathroom. As I saw them off, I muttered in my mind, "Way to go, Kotari." Kind of felt like a parent watching over his child growing up. Alicia would be rolling in her grave right now. Even though she's not dead. But you know.
やっぱ広いお風呂はいいわね。
Haha!
いいな。
Feels nice, Amane says. Those are very big flotation devices.
どうした
What's
小
up,
鳥
Kotari? Why don't you come
もっと
over
こ
here,
っちへ
Amane says.
シャワーだけでいいって言っ
I
た
said I
のに。
only need a shower, Kotari
いい
says.
じゃん。
Come on, I want
一緒
us
に湯
to
船
take
に
a
浸か
bath
りたかったん
together,
だもん。
Aga says.
女同士、
Girls only
裸と
enjoy
裸の付き合いで
Girls
さ。
only enjoying some skinship, Aga says.
そりゃあ
It's
あな
just
たたち
that
は
you two are
そんな
so huge. You
で
have
っ
it
かい
good,
から。
Kotari says.
でっかい
Huge? What do you mean,
何
Amane
のこと
says.
だその、
Those
お湯に
floating in the
ぷかぷか
water
浮い
like
てるや
that,
つよ。
Amane, you eat so much, but you're
あまねちゃんって、
still in such
す
good
ごく
shape,
食べるのにスタイルいい
Kotari
のね。
says.
カロリーは
Most of the
主に
calories
脳
go
と
to
お
her
っぱいで
brain
消
and
費
her
されて
boobs,
るに
no
違いないわ
doubt
ね。
about it, Aga says.
そういうアゲハも、
Aga, you're the same. What is it with everyone?
何を見
Kotari
出して
says.
小鳥
Ah,
だ
you
っ
look
て
nice
スタイ
too,
ルいいじゃ
Kotari.
ん。
Your skin is
お
so
肌も
smooth
ツル
and
ツルで
pretty,
綺
Aga
麗だ。
says. Really?
そうかな。
Kotari says.
ところで、あまね先
By
輩。
the way, Amane,
聞いて
can
も
I
いいで
ask
す
you
か
something? Aga says.
なんだ
What is it?
先輩って
Amane says.
彼氏とかいないんですか
Do you have a boyfriend? Ageha says.
彼氏
A boyfriend? Amane says.
彼
Yes,
氏
a boyfriend, Ageha says.
いないなぁ。
Nope, Amane says.
嘘
No way, you're so
先輩
beautiful.
美人
You
だ
have
し、ス
such
タイ
a
ルいい
nice
し、
figure. You
モ
must
テ
be
モテでしょ
popular, right? Ageha says.
そうなのか
Really? Really?
ガレージから
Wow,
外に出ることは
I
めったにない
know,
から
Amane
今
says.
日来てた
Aren't you
ハンちゃんさん
with
じゃないの
that guy who came today, Anchan-san? Kotri says.
私もそれ
Yeah,
思っ
that's what I thought too, Ageha
た
says.
浜根先輩とハン
What
ちゃんって
exactly is the relationship with
どういう関係な
Anchan?
んですか
Ageha says.
達也とは同じソアリング部の仲間だったんだ 彼氏というのとは違う
Tatsuya
と
and I
思
were
う
in the
ぞ。
soaring club together. I don't think of him as my boyfriend, though, Amane says.
にしては
Even so,
再
you
会し
met
た
him.
時
When
意
you
味
met
深な雰
again,
囲気だったわ
there
よ
sure
ね。
was a meaningful air between you, Kote says.
思った思った。
Also, too, a
美
handsome
男
man
美
and
女
pretty
で
girl like
す
you
っごくお
don't
似合いだった
really
し。
suit each other, Agea says.
私と達
Tatsuya
也
and
は
I
お
suit
似
each
合
other?
いなの
I
か。
never thought about that, Amane says.
じゃあ、小鳥は葵。
Whoops. Then Kotori, do you like always? Amane says. Kotori, huh?
なんでそうなるの
Just all of a sudden, now we're talking about you, Amane. Kotori says.
おお、うろたえてる。
Oh, you're getting all
これ
flustered.
は
That's
怪しい
suspicious,
ぞ。
Agena
違う
says.
って。
No, you're
そん
wrong.
な
That's
じゃ
not
ない
it
わ。
at all, Kotori
なん
says.
だ、違うのか。
Really? But you and Aoi are a better
私
match,
は小
Amane
鳥。
says. Huh? Really? You think so?
そう
Kotori says.
あ、まん
Oh,
ざ
you
らでも
don't
ない
seem
って
annoyed
顔になった。
as annoyed as I thought you'd be, Agea says.
違うって。
No, you're wrong. It's just
Amane-chan
Amane
が
said
変な
such
こと
weird
言うから。
stuff. Oh, Kotori says. Besides, Aoi likes you, doesn't he, Agea? Kotori says.
はい。なんでそうなるの？
Huh? Why do you think
そりゃ
that? Sure, we
幼
get along
馴染
as
だし
childhood
仲いい
friends,
けど
but Agea says.
聞いたもん。昔、葵くんが
I
アゲハ
heard
に
about
告
it that
白
in
し
the
て振ら
past
れたっ
Aoi had
て。
confessed to you and you dumped him, Kotori says.
おほう。
Oh, oh, Amane says.
なんで知ってんの？
How do you know about that?
葵のやつ
There's no way Aoi would tell something like... Agea says.
あの軽薄な感じ
It's
の男
what
子が
that
言ってた
shallow
わ。
guy was saying, Kotori says.
麻婆か。
Marble, that moron!
今度
I'll kick
こんな
his
こと
ass
か。
next time, Agea says.
本当だったんだ。
So it was true, Kotori says.
ああ、違う違う。
No, that
あれ
was
は
when we were just
ほんと
little
子供の頃の
kids. We're
話
not
で
like that at all,
全
Agea
然あ
says.
らかじめ用意してい
Sounds
たか
like
の
an
ような言
excuse
い
to
訳。
kill in advance.
これは怪しい
That's
わ。
suspicious, Kotori says.
あ、
That
あ
time
の
it had all
時
been、deciding
葵はもう
that
引っ越すことが決
at
まって
that
て、
time it had already been decided
そ
that
れ
Aoi
で
was going to
急に
move, so I
寂し
thought
く
it
な
was
ったん
just
だと
because
思
you
う。
suddenly felt lonely, Agea says.
本当にそんなんじゃないの。
Dang, it wasn't like that, Agea says. Okay, so explained away that part at least, so would be less frustration on top of things.
振ったってことは
Did you turn him
ア
down
ゲハ
because you
は
didn't
葵
like
くん
him?
のことが
Amane
好き
says.
じゃ。
Huh?
いや
No,
ー、
it's
それ
just
は。
Agea says.
あ
Ah, you do like him!
好きなんだ。
Yay, yay!
Yeah,
Agea
yeah,
likes
Aoi
the
くんのことが好
Aoi!
き。
Kotori says.
あんたは子供
Are
か。
you a little kid or what? Agea
葵
says.
くんは今でも
Wonder if Aoi
アゲ
still
ハの
likes
こと
you,
が好きなんだ
Amane
ろう
says.
か。いや、それ
No,
は
I
な
don't
いんじゃ
think
ない
so.
かな。
Friendship is going
友情
really
は
well
一応
though.
健在み
Agea
たいです
says.
けど、どっちかっていう
But I'd
と、
say that he likes
私よ
you
り
more
小
than me,
鳥。
Agea says.
そんなわけ
There's
な
no
いわ。
way. If he liked me, he wouldn't
好
chop
き
me
な
on
もの
the
でに
head,
チョップ
Kotori
しなかっ
says.
たから、チョッ
That's
プ
why
さ
he
れて
never
ないアゲ
chops
ハ
you,
を。
Agea says. Ageha, Kotori says.
その判断
I
基準は
don't
どう
think
だ
I
ろ
can
う。
really base it on that, Agea
じゃ
says.
あ、
So
好き
there's
な
no
人
one
は
in
どこ
particular
に
that
い
he
るのか。
likes. Amane says.
どうして二人と
Why are you
も
both
私
looking
を
at
見
me?
るんだ。
Amane says.
私が葵くん
Think
なら、
Aoi probably likes you the
あまね
most,
ちゃんのこと
Amane,
好きに
Kotori
な
says.
私もそう
Think
思
so
う。
too, Agea says.
ん実は私ね、
Truth is, when Aoi was
葵
looking
く
at
ん
you
があ
from
まねちゃんの
afar,
ことを
I've
遠
seen
くから
him
見て、
blushing a few
一人で
times,
赤くなっ
Kotori
てると
says.
こ。私
Ah,
も
I've seen that too.
あ
When
と
you
話して
talk
る
with
時
him,
も
he always gets
赤くな
all
ってオロオロ
nervous
した
and
り、デレ
blushes.
デレ
Seems
したりしてる
completely
よね。
love-struck, Agea says.
してる。
That's right, he
そうな
certainly
の。
does, Kotori says.
ソアリング部入
Also,
る
he
のも
was very
最初
proactive
からや
about
けに
joining the
積極
soaring
的だった
club
し、
from the very
グ
beginning,
ライダーのこと
Agea says.
大して知りもしなかったのにな。
Even though he didn't really know anything about gliders, Kotori says.
あまね先輩
If
な
it's
ら納
San
得。
Amane, then I concur, Agea says.
納得ね。
I concur too, Kotori says.
納得か。
Concur? Amane asks.
でっかいお風呂最高。はあ、気持ちよかった。私はちょっとのぼせちゃったかも。
The three girls, fresh out of the bath, took a barley tea out of the fridge and poured it into glasses while enjoying the free breeze from an electric fan. That was a really long bath. I could hear voices coming from inside. What were you talking about? From the hallway, I could hear laughter, shrieks, and such coming from the bathroom from time to time. Couldn't catch exactly what they were saying, but it sounded like something exciting.
秘密ねえ、小鳥。そうよ、男子禁制。
When they put it like that, it made me anxious. What the hell were they talking about?
さてと、寝る準備をしましょうか。
quickly push the squeaking wheelchair and Agea followed after her.
それじゃあ、おやすみ。おやすみなさい。
Good night. Watched them leave and then prepared myself for the bath. Amane, are you going to sleep too? I just finished getting your room ready.
おう。
Amane had already laid the blueprints out on the dining hall table. She was looking at the plans with a glass of milk in one hand. Seemed that she didn't hear whatever I said, so I decided to go ahead and take a bath.
皆様、長い間ご迷惑をおかけしておりましたが、私、姫木アゲハ、本日よりソアリング部に完全復帰いたします。
Clap, 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 clap. A small round of applause echoes around the garage. You guys were so close. If you'd won 2 more matches, you would have gotten through the qualifiers.
いやー、それは高望みってもんでしょう。
Again, her team lost in the 3rd match in the district qualifiers of the robot contest that were held yesterday. If a team wins 4 times, they can enter the national championship. Saying that they were close was a bit questionable since they lost in the 3rd match. But it was a really close fight. The team that beat them won the district qualifiers in the end.
小鳥も応援に来てくれてありがとう。すごい悔しかった。
Since Agea was in 2 clubs, the rest of us were also helping out the robotics club when we had some time to spare. We also helped carry the equipment on the day of the match and went to the contest hall. It was the first time I've been to a robot contest, but it was pretty interesting. Teams weren't there just to win. They also did their best to show off their robots, the crystallization of their ideas. Even if showing off like that could put them at a disadvantage in the match, they didn't cut any corners. When I saw that, I could understand why Agea became so engrossed in this.
それから天音先輩、お手伝いしてくださってありがとうございました。あれ、天音ちゃんも何かしたの？私は別に何も。
Adorable.
何度か見に来てくれて、設計の問題点を改善してくれたり、アイデアを提供してくれたりしたの。天音先輩、すっごいんだよ。やっぱ発想が違うっていうかさ。へえ、天音ちゃん、私らに隠れてそんなことしてたんだ。
I had no idea. What on earth did you do that?
私も何かできることはないかと思ったんだ。みんな、天音先輩と一緒にものづくりができて、いい刺激になったって喜んでました。欲が出ちゃったみたいで、次は優勝するんだって気合入りまくりでしたよ。それはよかった。
It's good that they want to win. Can't obtain victory if you don't aim for the
それ
top.
からもう一つ重大な報告があります。
Agea spoke in a formal tone.
私、昨日をもってロボット部を退部してまいりました。本当なのか？実は前から決めてたんです。ロボット作りもいいけど、今はグライダーの方が楽しいんで。というわけで、今後はこっち一本で行きますので、よろしく。
Another round of applause resounded in the garage, louder than before, accompanied with cheers.
ってことは、いよいよ主翼制作、ラストスパートね。
Honest to God, that teacher's probably fucking rolling in his grave right
葵
now.
はパイロット訓練に戻ってちょうだい。
No, I can up to.
ダメ。主翼が完成したら、速攻でテストフライトするんだから。それまでに操縦を完璧に覚えること。パイロット譲ってやったんだから、ビシッと決めてもらうわよ。
Alright. Had a role to fulfill. Long last, the first flight test was just around the corner. Except until the wings would fly in the sky highly. Yeah.
ごめんください。はーい。
She's in her underwear again!
セクハラ女、来客にいちいち裸で対応するんじゃない。 下着はつけてるよ。あなた、アゲハの妹ちゃんよね。
はい、そうです。姫にホタルです。ハバネさんでしたよね。
小鳥でいいわ。小鳥ちゃんとかで。
小鳥ちゃん。小鳥さん、あーちゃんいますか？
アゲハ、妹ちゃんが来てるわよ。おー、ホタル。
Kotri took Kotaru to the dining hall where everyone was having breakfast.
あーちゃん、着替え持ってきたよ。
サンキュー。お母さんどう？なんか言ってた？
帰ってきたらお尻キックだって。
仕方あるまい。
Hi, Kotaru.
おはよう、兄。
Want some breakfast?
うちで食べてきたから。
あまねちゃん、悪いんだけど、ハートに餌やっといて。ああ、任せろ。おいで、ハート。お前、ご機嫌だな。ここはご飯が美味しいからな。
I really like her outfit. It's really fucking good. It's been a few days since I turned the dormitory into our training camp. Eating breakfast together became our daily routine. It's really lively, so it feels more like living together. Also today we needed an especially solid breakfast. Like usual, today's work will be a test of our endurance.
外は快晴か。また一段と暑そうね。ねえ、妹ちゃん、どうだった？
すごくいいお天気でした。
もう日焼け止め塗っとかないとやばいかな。そうだ、あんたも暇なら手伝ってよ。
いいよ。私にできることならだけど。
できる。誰でもできるけど、人手がいるんだ。
また翼を磨くの？
今日はね、滑走路を作るのよ。
滑走路を作る？
Where though?
ここが滑走路だ。
Fuck! I was gonna say, is it though, and then leave. Anyways, now I'll actually do what I wanted to do. Let me save here, because I'm gonna go end it here for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. See you next time. I know I'm making these shorter, but hey, that means you'll have more fun with this for a longer period, I guess. I don't fucking know. My Snap's just tired lately. And I actually kinda want to play more Divinity. Like, I am enjoying this, don't get me wrong. It's just that... I actually, like, I'm enjoying this, but I kinda, like, want to do other stuff as well. So, like, I've reached a point where it's, like, a reasonable place to end it, I feel. So I just end it here. Anyway, oh well, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. See you next time. Ah! Hiccups! See you next time, bye-bye.